Hey, this is Persia from Team Broken Tier, and welcome to Marvel Minds. When it comes to Marvel, people tend to think that only a few characters can be viable. However, Marvel can be a blank canvas. With a little bit of innovation, some synergy, and hard work, you can make it happen. The match at hand? Iheartjustice versus FilipinoChamp in losers finals of Absolute Battle 7. Such a sick set between a breakout player of 2016 and one of the game's finest. With the release of Street Fighter V, Champ's attention hasn't fully been on Marvel as of late, but there's no denying that Marvel can be like riding a bike. You'll never truly forget, even if you get a little bit rusty. But with the unorthodox Phoenix Wright team that Iheartjustice brings to the table, it's just enough to tip the scales in his favor with the returning FChamp. Iheartjustice was actually the one who put FChamp into losers in this tournament, which is why the second set is so intense. When it comes to the matchup, Agamotto plays a big factor, giving Iheartjustice some much-needed durability against the Magdoom shell. Forcing a slower pace in the match buys Phoenix Wright just enough time to gain evidence and get Cap in the game to later set up unblockables. So it comes down to the mobility and evasiveness of Champ to gain an advantage and also get meter for his own Phoenix. We had a chance to sit down with some of the players and get their thoughts on the match. Champ said, "I got much respect for Iheartjustice's game. I realized after the first set that many of my go-to tactics to play neutral weren't as effective against Justice's strategy. I feel that if I had been practicing and keeping up with the game like I had used to, I could have done much better against him with my superior movement in neutral game. I was not ready for how much better prepared he was in the matchup than I was. I tried my best to learn the matchup and adapt in the moment, but Iheartjustice caught me in the end." And our chat with Iheartjustice showed just how much passion he really has for the game and his true respect for Champ. With so many great things to say about the match, he ended with a really important note. He said, "I was just so happy I put on a show, so happy I performed really well and secured a Vegas-only grand finals. I had hoped at least some people enjoyed what they saw, and turns out many more people than I could have imagined were watching, and I'm incredibly glad they did. And truthfully, that's all I could ever ask for as a competitor." The true love and passion for the game really shows, especially throughout this sixth set. I suggest you guys watch the full match and all of its glory, but for now, let's get to the breakdown of some of the key plays in this set. After a steady start in the first game, Justice gets early access to Phoenix Wright's evidence before getting Cap on point. With only a few meters, Justice knows that he can eventually pin down Magneto long enough to set up the unblockable. The synergy between Charging Star and Maya is beautiful, and since Maya's last hit is a low, setting up the unblockable this way is a breeze. Magneto is out for the count, but Champ doesn't give in to the bait of Justice's delayed buttons on incoming, and it gives him enough time to wait out the attacks and get to the top of the screen. Justice uses this opportunity to conserve Phoenix Wright's turnabout mode and get Cap on point again. Just when Champ begins to get away from the corner, he tries to dash back and instead gets caught by Cap's shield. Justice lands a sick air confirm into a snap on Phoenix. Champ push blocks Cap on incoming, but as he lands, his final push block is actually on the Agamotto assist, which leaves him vulnerable to the throw. However, Justice drops the finishing blow on Phoenix and Champ instantly hard tags to get her out. Even with X Factor lost, Justice manages to keep it together to take down Doom, but he still has Phoenix with a full 5 bars to deal with. Once Champ is in, he manages to defend himself in the corner, but when Champ tries to preemptively break the air throw, Justice punishes the whiff H and activates Dark Phoenix. Justice rushes after the explosion from Dark Phoenix, which tilted the whole match into Champ's favor. Champ makes quick work of the rest of the team by taking out Cap and Strange with her deadly teleport mix-ups. Had Justice backed away, he might have been able to survive. Game 2 played out very similar to Game 1 with a close-fought battle that left Dark Phoenix on top, putting Champ in a quick 2-0 lead over Iheartjustice. Going into Game 3, Champ comes out a little more aggressive, but Justice has Maya at the ready at the perfect time for him to punish Magneto. Maya's shield actually absorbs 250k damage of anything, so you have to find the correct angles around the shield to attack. Also, since she's out while Phoenix Wright is going for the TAC combo, she actually absorbs the burst of the TAC break to keep him safe. The follow-up possibilities could be endless, but Champ's swift mobility gets him out of danger. And with a few hits back and forth, Champ is able to catch Justice and open him up, but Champ is unable to capitalize since he drops the combo. Regardless, he backs away and finds some safety. Iheartjustice sticks with his game plan from the first 2 games of tagging in Cap to eventually use his meter to set up an avenue for Phoenix Wright. But Cap himself is still a very capable character, especially with assists. The shield and air confirms often catch people off guard or will stop the opponent just long enough to disrupt their attempts and force them to redirect. This usually leads to great scramble opportunities. Justice misses his opportunity at the unblockable on Doom, but in turn fills the screen with projectiles before getting the hard tag and chip out from Cap. With Phoenix on incoming, Justice has a meaty shield in the air and the returning hit catches Champ's backdash. Justice goes for the double up TAC since he knows Champ will only be protecting the sides, and the second TAC rises Dark Phoenix as Strange gets into the match. This actually works out perfectly since his tracking Spell of Vishanti super gives him just enough protection to finish out Game 3. Game 4 was a dominating win in Iheartjustice's favor. He continued to abuse the anti-push block setups, unblockables, and then he successfully tamed Dark Phoenix to tie up the match 2-2. With the score all tied up and on the final round, Champ goes for a bold but smart character switch and puts Dormammu in the match. Right from the start, you can see why. Champ has more options to hit and disrupt Phoenix Wright while he tries to pick up evidence. He can teleport behind Phoenix Wright, he can spin meter without restraint, and a little bit of extra life never hurt anyone. With Phoenix Wright already down to half life, Justice opts for yet another hard tag into Cap. This causes a shift in the momentum of the match, and Justice slowly begins to push Champ to the corner with a series of well-placed shields, assists, and some good patience. Once in the corner with an impending mix-up ahead, Champ goes for the push block again to try and avoid Cap's cross-up with the cartwheel. However, he push blocks Cap so much that he leaves a gap just big enough between himself and Agamotto that he made the cross-up not only possible, but nearly impossible to block. And even though Justice did pick up that clutch hit, he drops the combo. Champ blocks Cap's attempt at another mix-up and picks up a hit himself, but it's short-lived as he drops the combo as well. But this time, Justice wins the scramble. Justice throws out a second Maya super, leaving Champ a window to hard tag into Doom. With meters to spare and Phoenix Wright to fight, Champ knows he wants to bring in Dormammu again for this matchup. Finding the perfect moment, Champ waits until Justice calls an assist to not only get massive damage on Strange, but to also get Dorm on point. Now Champ can play his game and bombard Justice with projectiles. But of course, this is not going to stop Justice from tagging in Cap and stealing some much needed damage on Magneto. However, Justice is forced to X-Factor and save Cap, but in reaction, Champ activates 2 and catches Cap with a raw super. X-Factor eventually wears down for both players, and the match itself starts to slow down as well. Both sides are playing patiently, but Champ comes out on top. First blood was drawn with 32 seconds left on the clock. Phoenix Wright is on point now and dangerously low on health. Luckily for Iheartjustice, he picks up the final needed piece of evidence on the first try and immediately brings in Doctor Strange, continuing to try and take advantage of raw tag opportunities, except this time missiles do not let him get away with it and Champ picks up the confirm. Unfortunately, Champ doesn't gain the meter to kill Strange until Strange has already been hit with too many hits of the pillar for it to have connected into the flame. After the DHC, Phoenix Wright's hits were actually staggered just enough to have been blocked, but it's still very difficult to block. With Dorm finally out, Justice catches Champ with a meaty air-to-air into a full combo. And there's only Magneto left with a life lead and 10 seconds left. A hectic incoming ends up with a little bit of room for Champ, but once Justice gets close, he tries to catch him with a shockwave. But since Justice is in turnabout, he counters with his invincible super and gains the life lead. Time is running out, but Justice stays strong and blocks for the last few seconds to win by mere pixels. After watching the set from both winners and losers between these two, it really makes me want to see the run back in the near future. It really goes to show that you can make anything work in this game, so I challenge you guys to find something new and fun, but also very cheap in your own unique Marvel-like type of way. I really hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown, and we really appreciate your feedback on every episode. We're experimenting with different layouts, new features, and fiddling with some abbreviated breakdowns as well. So please let us know your thoughts on the match, and don't forget to watch the full set for yourself to really witness the action. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and keep an eye out for the next episode very soon. Peace.